Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. I'm your lovely host, Bernadette, and joining me today is special guest, Bill Pautler. How do I pronounce your
Pautler.
name? Pautler.
Pautler.
Okay, how are you?
I am wonderful, thank you.
Awesome. Bill, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate you being here. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
you're welcome. So, Bill, where about are you tuning in from? And tell us more of your story and what you do.
Um, well, I'm live in Birmingham, Alabama, where the skies are so blue. I grew up in Southern Illinois. If you've ever heard of the cartoon character Popeye, the uh, the man who created the Popeye strip or cartoon, his name was Elzie Seeger, and he lived and I think he grew up in the town that I grew up in. And so we used to go eat at the tavern where Wimpy used to eat his hamburgers, and Popeye was actually a sailor or a boatman on the Mississippi River. And that my town is right on the Mississippi River, the town I grew up in. And besides that, I grew up Catholic. Uh, I've always been a little crazy. I seek adventure. Um, I was a hot air balloon pilot. I still ride motorcycles a little bit. I ride my bicycle a little bit. I'll only drive a stick shift car. Uh, I've got two ex-wives. I've got six kids. But you know where I've started four different companies. Um, but where I am now and really have been ever since a child is trying to understand about God and how we interact with God per se. And so I've been on a spiritual journey for some 35 years. I've had a bunch of spiritual experiences. And then I started my brand, which is called SageLife. We could talk about that if you want to. And then I wrote a book. And now I'm doing YouTube and write a weekly story. And I'm just trying to get people to wake up to the beautiful spirit that's inside of them.
Mm, so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Sure.
You have lived, Bill. You
I
have
have.
lived and have had lots of experiences. Tell me more of what was your childhood like and what did you always want it to be as a child? Because when we're so young, we have dreams and visions. And are you living in those dreams?
I didn't know what I wanted to be as a child. Um, I did have this, I wanted to know about God. You know, I would go, and I tell this story all the time. As a little boy in a Catholic church, kneeling in Mass and looking at the statues and asking them to blink or do anything because I wanted to know that God was real. And that was from an early childhood. And I always knew I was a little different than my friends, not in a good or bad way, just a little different. And maybe we all feel a little different, right? I hope we all feel a little different.
Oh, I do.
Uh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I went to college, really crazy and all that type of stuff, and then settled down. And then that spirituality thing
Mm,
uh, it just kept raising its head up.
mm,
And so I had to pay attention to it. And I started paying attention to it and reading and trying to figure out what was going on. And then everything just started unfolding.
mm. That's amazing. Yeah. Tell me more of your spiritual awakening because it's different for everybody. Um, how and when did you know this is real and I'm feeling it so intensely that I have to share it with others?
Um, but probably the first thing that happened was, and I live in Alabama, so we have a lot of very Christian fundamental religion down here,
Mm.
and I was in the I've been kind of in and out of the Catholic Church, but as I was having kids, you want to raise your kids somewhere. So I
Mhm.
was getting more active back in the church, but I was doing a Bible study in my neighborhood with my neighbors, and we were doing this Bible study, and they were very fundamental, and they're like, "You need to ask Jesus Christ to come into your life." And so I was out on a bicycle ride that night, and I was really being kind of facetious. And I looked up in the sky and I said, Jesus, if you want to come into my life, just come on into my life. And, and when I got home, I started crying.
Mm.
And I cried almost solid for 2 days. I
Mhm.
had no idea what was going on, but you can see now I'm crying. My one of my spiritual mentors later on told me it was the gift of tears, and I've had the gift of tears ever since then. And anytime something touches me deeply, I cry. I can be in a business meeting, I can be on the streets. I mean, it doesn't matter where I am. If it touches me, I start crying. And I
Mm.
can't control it, and I don't even try to control it anymore. I used to try and control it, but I quit. But that was out, my first experience, I don't know, my first experience with something that was a little different than what I had learned in the world.
Yeah.
And then it just continued from there.
Mm. Yeah. I love that you experience it through tears because I think that's a powerful thing. Tears, anything that flows has the ability and power to cleanse. And that's how the God you believe in and whatever else you believe in speaks to you. So it's beautiful. It is. And on the other hand, though, society, especially men, that saying men don't cry. And
Right.
tell me, what do you think of that saying?
Um, you know, it's a saying that came from, you know, as humans, as spirits, we're always growing in consciousness.
Hmm.
Okay. And really, the spiritual walk is a walk of subtraction. It's a walk of subtracting everything off of us that is not the pure us. And that mostly comes from, and I'm going to get back to your question in a second,
Hmm. Hmm.
but when a baby is born, you look at a baby and you go, oh, because their soul comes from the other side and it's still pure. But then we traumatize, we victimize, we sexually abuse, we put belief systems on them about, earning livings and making money and getting married and doing all these, conforming to society. Any group that we conform to has rules, okay?
Yeah.
And then if you try to break away from that, like you leave your church because you don't abide by all those rules or don't believe those anymore, then people scorn you, because you're a thorn inside um, that organization. And even the word conform means one form. When you have a uniform, everybody's the same. They're a uniform, right? A unity, a form. So, but once you realize, and in the Bible, and I'm not a big Bible thumper, although I do believe that in all religions there is a lot of truth. A lot of times you have to sift through it. And religion is also used for power, control, and ego with the use of fear, right? Um, but in the Bible it says, do not conform yourself, okay? Uh, conform mean con means with form. Do not conform yourself to this world, but be transformed. Okay, which is a change in form. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, by the renewal of your mind. And renewal means making new again, okay? By renewing your mind, so you will know the perfect and pleasing will of God. Well, the perfect and pleasing will of God is inside of us, okay? Because we are animated by the Spirit of God. And I almost don't even like the word to use the word God anymore because it has so many meanings. So I've been
Yeah.
talking about more about divine and consciousness and those type of things. And consciousness is obviously a big word that's out there all the time now too.
Mhm.
Um, but when we realize that this world is not our home, and we can give up our ego and give up our desire to, amass things and all this, then we can just live with our intuition and out of the love that's in us. Because if we're animated by the Spirit of God, and the word soul comes from the word anime, which means to animate, right? So we can live out of our soul purpose, and with intuition, then we just naturally unfold and live with beauty into the world. And so, uh, getting back to your question, which was uh, about men crying,
Mhm.
that was just at one point in time, men were hunter gatherer or hunters maybe, and and we protected the tribe and all that type of stuff. But and so a lot of beliefs and slogans and things that we use at one point in time were useful, but they're no longer useful.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of those things that was useful maybe for a time. Maybe it was useful for a time, but
Yeah.
it's really not true. It's a falsehood.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I guess when it comes to religion, I always say all of us are walking home, but
Yes.
taking different routes and different directions. And along the way, at times, some of us we judge the pace that people are going at and how they're doing while they're walking home. At the end of the day, we're going in one place. I always
Yes.
tell people, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a couple things about religion. What
Yeah.
I tell people about religion is look at what you believe, not not from what you were brought up in, but really take a good look at your religion,
Mhm.
see how much of it rings true, and then also ask yourself, why am I participating in this organization? Okay. A lot of people, and this is not bad, but a lot of people go to church for social reasons.
Mhm.
Okay. And so you just have to look at everything in your life and say, is this serving me? Is this bringing me life? Or is it not bringing me life? Is it moving me forward? Is it holding me back? And so, if we always look at if things are serving our soul, then that's an easy way to make decisions and to begin to tear down some of the well, a lot of the false belief systems that
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. What legacy do you want to pass on to the next generation?
Pretty simple. uh, well, first off, which I've said already, that we're eternal beings and that we're all animated by the power of God or consciousness.
Mhm.
And so once you really deeply remember, okay, put your members back together, remember who you are and that you're not part of this world This is just an experience that you're having, kind of like going on an adventure or traveling, right?
Yeah.
Then and then you'll naturally not conform to the world, and the love that's inside of you will come out automatically. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is that each of us, as an individuation of God consciousness, have come into this world with a particular set of gifts.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And anytime that we don't honor as individuals or as a society the gift that people bring in, then we're it's basically like going outside pouring gasoline on your grass because it's going to make a big brown spot and kill it, right?
Yeah.
And so we're limiting the beauty of our experience by not accepting all the different gifts that people are bringing. And
Mhm.
so I just want people to love and accept the gifts that they've got and bring those into full fruition
Mhm.
in this world. And, you know,
Mhm.
and we have to love ourselves first. And once we know how to love ourselves first by tearing our false beliefs down, by not judging ourselves. Okay,
Mhm.
a lot of stuff in the Bible and in all the religions about not judging yourself,
Mhm.
not being fearful. Okay, um, and forgiving ourselves. The we say in the we well in the Christian religions we talk about God forgiving us, right?
Yeah.
The word for means in front of. Okay.
Mhm.
And give is a gift, right? And so, we've made this thing up where we're going to sin and get judged and all that stuff. And that is not true. What the word forgiveness, if we ascribe that it came from God or
Mhm.
God consciousness or the divine, then we've been given permission and free will to do whatever we want in this world. Okay. uh, without judgment. That doesn't mean that all our actions are beautiful or loving. It just means that we have been given, without judgment, the ability to create however we want to create.
Mm.
And so we've been forgiven in advance. So
Mm.
when we learn to forgive ourselves and not judge ourselves, which is very hard to do,
Yeah.
then we once we can do that, then we can forgive and not judge everybody else. And it comes back to what you just said a little while ago about we're all kind of
Mhm.
making this progress. And I say all the time that we're all doing the best we can from at any given point in time from our
Mhm.
given perspective. And we're all growing in consciousness. So when we look at somebody and somebody does something to us that's, not polite or ugly or steals or just whatever it is, you just got to look at that person and go, oh, I was once that unconscious,
Yeah.
but I'm choosing not to be unconscious anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's our continuous growth in consciousness.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, as you were talking about forgiveness, I know I've read different verses in the Bible. Some of the stuff in there, um, it's like a book within a book. You got to peel all the layers to actually understand what they mean of it.
Yes.
I remember somewhere in there it says Jesus said to forgive your enemies.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
It is a
Right?
hard one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we've been the enemy before, right?
Mm, Yeah.
I can think of, I remember before I was in, not that I'm really into yoga, but I do, you know, some exercises and yoga and stretching and stuff to keep myself going. But I remember when my family was at the beach and my sister and my nephew's wife and maybe I think my daughter were doing yoga on the beach and I was throwing sand on them because
Mm,
I thought it was funny. But in retrospect now, I look at that and I go, I was really stupid, because I was annoying them. And and now, if they were going to do yoga on the beach, I'd do yoga with them. But that was my level of unconsciousness at the time.
mm,
So we all have that.
yeah.
So that's why we need to forgive ourselves and forgive others
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with awareness.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So you're a writer and author. Tell us more about your book and just your writing style. Who is it for?
Um, well, I'm going to show you a copy of it real quick. It's
Oh.
called Awakening to Ourselves. I
Hmm.
have to remember the last part. The practical art of building a spiritually aware life.
Mm,
Uh, I wrote this book because it took me so long to wake up.
mm,
And I wanted other people to, and actually, I say Spirit told me this. I wanted other people to progress faster than I progressed.
mm,
And the internet, I mean, even YouTube in the last 3 or 4 years has changed all the information that's out there. And there's a lot of good things out there.
mhm.
But so I wrote my book to help people become spiritually aware that the God's inside of them. And I broke my book down into two parts. The first part is kind of what I call the basics, some of what I've talked about already. We're animated by the Spirit of God, and I talk about that. Talk about us being eternal. If you're really eternal, your view on the things that happen on a day to day basis are very different than
Yeah.
if you don't think you're eternal.
Yeah.
Um, I talk about religion and whether it's serving you or not, and how it's supported a lot of it by fear,
Mhm.
okay, and ego, and then just three or four other things. And once you kind of get some core beliefs down, then the last part of my book, or this part two of my book, I explain a bunch of ideas of practical ways to that I've incorporated and or maybe not even incorporated that I've brought about awareness in my own life. Um, and the whole goal, along with everything that I've said before about loving yourself and all that, um, the whole goal of this spirituality thing is to um, it's to be at peace
Mm.
and joy and fun and happiness. Okay. My current motto last year, and I decided I'm going to renew it for this year, is to have the most amount of fun that I can have with no harm to myself and no harm to others. That is my 2026 goal and was my 2025 goal.
Mm, yeah.
So,
Hmm.
anyway, I think
Well,
maybe I had some more stuff to say, but I have no idea what it is anymore.
well, that's it's part of having fun too. That's
Yes.
amazing that you chose that goal. I have chosen that goal too. And
Really?
I don't care who likes it, agree, disagree. I'm doing something right because I have lots of people coming on the podcast and sharing their experiences. I think we take life too seriously,
Agreed.
way too seriously, to the point that we're making ourselves so, so sick.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. When we're sick, when we have disease, that is dis-ease, right?
yeah.
And you're not at ease with yourself. That's what dis-ease is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you planning on writing more books?
Yes, I've got, well, if you go to my website, which is the name of my book, awakingtoourselves.com, you can sign up for a weekly story that I write. I'm actually currently on a 60-day sabbatical, but starting at in February, those will start coming back online, and so you can read my stories. But I'm binding up all those stories plus some uh, plus some materials that I haven't um, released out into the public, and that's coming out in a book hopefully by the end of February.
Mhm.
And then I've got another book that I've started on and playing around with that title a little bit. Actually, I was playing around with that title earlier, but it's something along the lines of remembering who we are.
Mm.
Uh, so, um, yeah, so by the end of 2026, I should have three books out, and I don't know.
Amazing. I just saw that title somewhere. Remember who you are. And it was on a
Really?
soul level. Yeah. And then you mention it. So that's I always know when my guides are talking to me because they repeat things through other
Yes.
people. Yeah.
Yes.
Mind blowing to them. Maybe it's
Yes.
funny for them, eh? Just like I just saw that.
See, I believe that, you know, that like remember let's just take this remembering ourselves, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that is out there in God consciousness. And then when we get capable of tuning into that, it
Hmm.
comes to us.
Yeah.
It's just like, if there's some type of new business, in Japan or China or Russia or South America, um, multiple entrepreneurs, and I'm an entrepreneur, or maybe it was an entrepreneur. Uh, Multiple entrepreneurs around the world will have similar ideas pretty much all at one time, not one
Yeah.
second, but inside a year.
Hmm.
And then these businesses start forming, and then they find out about each other, and then things keep developing, and a whole industry develops. So, all of the wisdom and intelligence is already inside of us. It's just us tuning into it and tuning into the particular part that we're going to bring into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So Bill, what do you want people to get out of this episode and also of you sharing your story?
Um, First and foremost, realize you're animated by the Spirit of God. If you're animated by the Spirit of God, then all the attributes of God are already inside of you.
Yeah.
So, your love, your forgiveness, you're peaceful, you're joyful, you're already all those things. You
Hmm.
just have to realize it. And then if you think, if you realize that the Spirit of God is inside of you and animates you, then everything's possible, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like the genie in Aladdin. We're this great, big, massive genie, and we're in this itty little bitty lamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and once you realize that, you know, then it's just a matter of releasing all these things that we've been taught,
Hmm.
and then you become free.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you talked about the genie analogy because I always use an example of how massive the soul is. It's like trying to put a big semi truck inside a water bottle.
Exactly.
And it's yeah, for me, I always feel so crammed and it's hard to be in a body when we're so massive on a
It
soul
is
level. Yeah.
It is very hard to be in a body. And I've had some crazy experiences. But one day I was out riding my bicycle, and then I stopped and meditated for a while. And then I went to get back on my bicycle. And when I started to get to look at my bicycle, it looked like it was this big.
Mm,
And I looked at it and I'm like, how am I ever going to get on that little bitty bicycle? My spirit had expanded so much that I thought I was huge.
mm,
And my bicycle looked like an ant to me. And I'm like, I'll never get my feet on those pedals. And then I
mhm,
go, what is going on here?
mhm.
And I go, oh my gosh, I think you're out of your body.
Took a minute to find out.
It did. I was because it felt natural.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
felt completely natural.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it reminds me of this when people have NDEs, they when
Yes.
they pop out of their bodies, they don't even
Yeah.
recognize the vessel that they've been in.
Yes,
How
exactly.
incredible is that? They don't
That
even
you're in a body for how many
recognize it.
years
Yeah.
and you don't even recognize it? That's crazy.
No, yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. Really
It is.
fascinating. Yeah. I have two questions for you as we wrap up. The first one
Sure.
is, what is the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life. Uh, I wrote a story recently, and in it, I talked about the future and the past and living in the now. And I had an hourglass, okay? Starts, gets thin. The sands in the top of the hourglass, that's the future. The sands in the bottom of the hourglass, that's the past. And that little choke point is in an hourglass is called the waist. And like
Hmm.
like your waist, right? Around your midsection. And when that sand, a little piece of sand, drops through that waist, that is the present moment. Okay.
Mm,
And so, right now in the present moment, everything's perfect.
yeah.
If you bring yourself to the present moment,
Hmm.
everything is perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, all we are is these spirits having these experiences.
Hmm.
And that is the meaning of life. It's us experiencing life. It's
Yeah.
life experiencing life.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Where can people find you and connect with you and also buy your book?
Yeah. My book's on Amazon, but Awakening to Ourselves and awakeningtoourselves.com is my website. My YouTube page, which is really my brand,
Mhm,
but I kind of got off kilter in my marketing. But my YouTube page is Sage Life, SAGE Life, LIFE with Bill.
mhm.
So you can find me on YouTube there. And that's enough places to find me. I'm on Facebook too. Sage Life. Sage Life is on Facebook too. So
You're everywhere. They'll find you.
they'll find me. If you look hard enough, you'll find me.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and just your story and your presence and for being here.
Bernadette, I like to end with a lot of people have heard the word namaste,
Mm,
but a lot of people don't know what the word namaste actually means.
mm,
It means the divine in me honors the divine in you. So I would
mm,
say namaste to you and
mm.
namaste to all our viewers.
Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you. Thank
Namaste.
you.